we're going to do a snowman. It's winter, and we had a winter storm last night where I live. What you'll want to do is, if you have, hopefully you had your drawings and you were able to trace them onto your card or onto your watercolor paper. And what I did is I sent basically, I think, I did this with a pen, a little small fine tip Micron, so it's waterproof. And what else I did? I tried something. I thought I'd try this. I haven't done this before, but I have this pen that I got. It's called masking liner, and it's nice. It's a pen. It's masking fluid, and I actually did 2 of them, so I can do 2. But I did a little bit of masking fluid on the arms. Oh, we've got somebody came in and we lost her, and now she's back. Okay, let me just get her back in. There she is. Hi, welcome back. Glad you're back. So there's white. So there's a masking fluid. If you don't have masking fluid, that's fine. You can go back with white ink or anything like that. So first thing I'm going to do, and I put some masking fluid where these trees, I kind of made some little trees here. I think you see that. That's not a pen, that's just trees. So here we go. We're going to do, the first thing we're going to do with this is the background. So you're going to take in this case, and I'm going to use a different brush. This brush is holds way too much water. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I make such a mess. I'm making a big mess today. It's kind of funny. I'm going to use some ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is going to be great for the background. If you have ultramarine, if you don't, just some phthalo blue mixed with some violet or with some magenta would probably work just as well. But I'm going to use this is my ultramarine blue. And I'm also going to use some Payne's gray, some kind of gray color to just not make it so bright, because it's a winter sky. There's going to be snow. If you have some salt, grab some salt. We're going to be sprinkling some salt on this for the background only. And I'm going to let's see if that's the Payne's gray. I can't tell. Yeah, that's Payne's gray. So I've got some Payne's gray and I'm mixing it with the ultramarine. You can also use indigo. That would be also gorgeous, but make a lot of it. Mix up a lot of color because you're going to need it for that background. And if you're doing 2, like I am, I'm going to do 2. So I'm going to just do both all at once. This is a great way if you're making Christmas cards and you want to make a series of them. This is a really great way to do it. So
Aaron,
yep.
I'm sorry to bother you.
No problem.
Did you mask the arms and everything on the snowman?
I did mask. Now my first one on the first painting, this one I did not mask the arms, and they disappeared.
Oh, okay.
No, which just doesn't look bad. It looks like he's in the snow.
Okay, good.
So if you don't mask the arms, that's okay. You can also go back with a pen later, but I did mask it this time just to see how it would work.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. So I've got my blue all kind of ready to go, a lot of it, and I probably need more because you want it to be dark. And we're going to use salt. We're going to sprinkle salt on it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start by making now the snowman is not masked. So I'm going to just starting up here at this top part where the back, like the top of the sky area, I'm going to just go quickly because we want everything to stay wet while we're doing this. So I'm not worried about the arm. The arm is already masked, but I have to go around the little head or the hat and all that. Don't want to get any color on my snowman or his body. So this is where you have to kind of move quickly, make sure your edges stay wet. And sometimes if I just kind of gotta go around the edges, just kind of go around your white. Now this I could have masked this little pom-pom because that's going to stay white. That's all right. The imperfectness, but if you have wet, just keep those edges wet. So like I started it over here, and I'm just going to move quickly and across and cover that whole background, including, I just don't want to get the nose. I think in this one I masked the nose off, which is the carrot. But just go around the whole, just get that color on there and keep it wet because we're going to drop some salt in it. Just keep that Keep it moving on the page and keep it wet. Don't let it dry. And then I'm just going to keep going. Now this is probably going to work just for the one card. I think I only made enough of this mixture for the one. So just going to go around my little body here, and I mask that little arm off. And keep it loose. You don't have to be precise. Like, it doesn't have to go right to the perfect edge of your background. In fact, the more loose it is, the better. And this has got, I'm just going to go around the body and up, and just watch for the moisture in the painting. And then thing here, it's still wet, good thing. And I'm going to just drop that down. Now get your salt ready, and we're going to put some salt down. And I'm not trying to be precise here. There we go, like that. So now I'm going to sprinkle some salt, or not sprinkle. I'm just going to take a little, put it in my hand. I don't want a whole lot of it, but just enough to give it a sprinkle, just a sprinkle. And I'm going to do it on this background while it's on the wet areas of the background. Yeah, you don't need to put much, because it really does. It's amazing what kind of texture you'll get from that salt. Whenever you have it left, throw it over your shoulder for good luck. So now I've got this. I was going to do the second one, but I don't think I will, because I want to show you all the steps. So right now this has got to dry, but in the meantime, we've got a nice shadow color that we could add a little purple to. If we add a little bit of magenta to this mixture, what I have is a beautiful shadow color now. It's got a little purple in it. And I don't want it really dark. I want it really pale. So I'm going to go make that super pale. Make sure, and you can test it on a piece of paper if you want, but just make sure it's a really pale, kind of a lavendery blue color, gray lavender blue. And now I'm going to go under like parts of the body. I'm going to start down here just to see. Okay, so there's like a little shadow, and maybe just a little bit here, maybe a little shadow under the bird. I'm going to also do the shadow under this layer. I'm going to just do a little shadow on this, and you could just kind of play with the shadows, like just where the light or the moonlight or whatever is going on is dark. Shadow here, a shadow pretty much where you think a shadow would be, under little parts, but just little areas, not the whole thing. There we go. Got enough shadow there, I think. And maybe a little shadow right over here to give it some dimension, to give that snowman some shape. But it is much paler than the background. So that's that. And now I've got to wait for these edges to dry. So while I'm waiting for these little edges to dry, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to make little black buttons. Make very dark buttons, and I think I have to use some graphite gray or something. Oops, that's turquoise. Whoa, I didn't realize I had turquoise. So I'm going to use some graphite gray, some really dark, and I'm just going to make the little buttons, fill those up. And it's very dark, so not much light's going to pass through on that. The little eyes are already done. Don't want to need. Oh, I know what I want to do. I wanted to make that bird. If you have a bird, you don't have to have a bird there. That was an option. I just put that in there because I always like birds. But I'm going to do a little blue bird using the same color I used for the background. I'm just going to fill him in. Or I could have done it a little lighter, but it's fine. Everything dries a little lighter anyway. So next step is I actually need to dry this off a little bit, just to need those edges dried. Get that. So I can work on the rest of on the inside. And it really doesn't take long. These little snowmen go really fast once you get that background done, because that's probably the most paint you'll be putting on, is the background paint. I'm just going to get that little body dry. Okay, now we're ready to do the next step. Okay, it's got the background dry. Now we're gonna take, we need a bright red, some kind of red. So I'm gonna have to grab, I just realized, if you don't have red and if you have some kind of red in your stash, I don't always keep red, but I don't use it very often, but when I need it, I need it. So I'm gonna just get some red paint. Red, and it could be kind of a warmish red. You want a warm red, and you're gonna need an orange as well. So I've got my little all inclusive, all the palette of all the colors that I need. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that out of the way. I don't have enough room. You should see the mess. I've got paint everywhere and white paint and ink everywhere. It's crazy. So I'm gonna do, right now, I think I'm gonna do the red in the you could make your, the hat and the scarf any color you want. But I do see some orange, so I'm gonna go ahead, oops, I have to make a splotch. There's a splotch. There we go. Keep splotching. Have you ever had those days where you're just feeling messy? That's me today, just messy. So I'm gonna do, I see that I did put some masking fluid on this nose, or on this, on the nose, so I'm gonna rub it off with my finger, because I'm gonna add that orange. I see a little bit of orange that I already mixed. So I've got some orange on the tip of this. I'm just gonna do a little orange carrot for the nose. There, that's it, just a little orange carrot. And now I'm gonna do some red using a beautiful, this red is like a Pyroll red, one of my favorite reds. It's a nice, pretty opaque red, Christmassy red, which I really like. And now I'm going to put, I'm just gonna lay down the color where I want it. Like you can have these, of course you can have this any color. You don't have to have it red, but I think the red looks really cool with the colors of the background, and maybe kind of be fun to try the other one with a different color combination. So I'm just gonna leave that red and white like that. And then I'm going to take the scarf and just completely paint it with red. And then the looser the colors are, the better, the wetter it is. This is a nice wet wash of red, and I love this stuff. I love this stuff. Pyroll red. If you ever, for Christmas colors, I mean, I don't use, like I said, I don't use red a lot, but boy, when you need it, this is a good red. So now what's next? Very little, no, yeah, gotta do the scarf right here. The scarf goes around the neck. And there it is. So now we've got the shadows still showing underneath that, which is great. And you can always add more shadows and more to it. But there, basically, that's the snowman. Now, what I did was I had some masking fluid on these trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub that off with my hands. I think it comes off. Yep, it comes off. And it's kind of like snow on the trees. It's kind of neat. This masking pen is different. It doesn't have as much fluid as if you brushed it on. So I kind of like that. It gives like a real, I don't know, kind of organic looking, interesting. But you want to get all those masking fluid off because it's got like a rubbery feel to it. And once that's off, you know you're good to go. It still has a little bit still on it. And then I'll just kind of wipe that off. And I don't want to mess with the arms yet, but this one I probably am okay to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and rub the masking fluid off of this arm here. I have to be careful because I'm smearing the red onto that. And there we go, like that. So that that's nice that I was able to keep that arm so I could see it. Now you could still go back so that doesn't look white like it's snowed on, but you can now at this point, what I could do is just go back with some brown or a black color or any kind of color for your arms. Let's see, I've got a little brown one, mix it with a little black. I'm just going to put a little bit kind of on here and maybe leave a little light just for highlight. Leave some of that white showing. Or maybe just for highlight. I'm just putting a little bit on that arm. So it's much more visible than my first snowman, because the other one, it just disappeared. Gonna do a little yellow beak for the bird, a tiny, tiny little bit of yellow, just to, right? It's such a little tiny amount, just a little tiny, tiny bit. Now for the trees, I plan to do some kind of a bluish green, like that Cascade green, which is one of my favorites. I'm just gonna put some of that blue green right inside here, and then just loosely, I'm filling the trees so it doesn't look too stark. The color, it's just a nice kind of a contrast from the blues and the red. So it doesn't look totally like it's a 4th of July kind of theme. Having that green really kind of offsets the whole thing. So that is the snowman. If you also see that you want to add some more shadows, this is the time to do it. Just kind of like here, I think I see some, well, it's still not dry, but if you want, you can add some like little texture, like just things to make it look more textured. Like I've got a little bit that looks more fluffy there, and this needs a little shadow right below here, I think. And just kind of play with that, make just little shadows and little textures, and maybe a little shadow under the little arm there. That would look good. So the other thing I wanted to share with you, I did make some snow watercolor, which is, I told you about, I think on Monday. It's a mixture of diamond dust. It's called diamond dust, and then some mica, pearl mica. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do the whole snowman this time, which I did in my last one. I'm just going to do a few little pieces of snow, and I'm going to just do it right on this kind of little dots of snow, not a lot, because I think I overdid it the last time. And you can even just put just little glimmers, highlights on your snowman, but not much. Sometimes I think I've learned I can over glitter things. So maybe a little bit on the trees, just a little bit. And just here and there, maybe just a touch here and there, dotting it on so it's not overwhelming. There we go. Whoops, now I just smeared it. But there you go. Imperfection, that's even better, right? So when you do make a boo-boo like that, which I did, you can blot it off, and I got it pretty much gone, but yeah, you can fix that. So that is that card, and it looks lovely. Now you can see the difference with this one. This has a lot more snow on it, and that could be, I could fill that in, and I could decide to do it later. But it'd be fun to try different color combinations, maybe a purple background, something totally off, totally different. Like just for fun, I think I will do something crazy background here. Not purple. I don't know if that would be natural, but something maybe more on the black, maybe more grays or something. So I've got my Payne's gray. Well, actually, I did more blue. I'm just going to do more blue. Some blue and some metallic. I think that would look gorgeous. And maybe some of this kind of interference color that I made. I don't even know what it is. It just was some blue pigment that I bought, and it's pretty, and it said it was chameleon pigment, so it's going to do some interesting things. I also have some indigo. Really just get some colors out and play with it. And then just fill in your background again. If you have another card. This is interesting, that chameleon color. Wow, interesting. I'm just going to go with that. I'm hoping you were able to do a couple. If you wanted to do 2, this is the perfect time to do it, because you have you have that drawing, and so then you can just experiment and not worry like, oh, I have to make a perfect painting, because you're doing it on a card, and you're doing it a couple of times, so you're kind of getting practice. I'm just going to do some indigo. Now this one, I did mask off the edge a little so I could show the fuzziness of this little pom-pom. I think it's going to be fun, so I'm just going to go inside that a little bit. And I don't think I'm going to salt this one. I'm just going to let this one be natural, no salt. What I could do is add some glitter afterwards, or some of my mica powder. this time. And it's funny that I put masking fluid in that area where I won't need to do that, but I did it anyway. But really the longest, or the part that's the most difficult, I don't know if it's, I didn't want to say it's difficult, but the part that is taking the longest is really just filling in this quickly enough so you still have the wet on wet if you choose to put salt on it. If you don't, then you can just keep moving along, keeping the edges wet so that you don't have obvious lines and weird little marks where the edges are. This one, the nose, I think, yep, I did. I masked the nose. This one I had tassels. I had drawn tassels onto the scarf. So just to, for something different. And then I masked off the trees also, but drew in the trees with this one. So I could put some salt while I'm thinking about it, or what I could do, just for fun, I'm gonna try this, is when I take my Pearl watercolor, I'm just gonna drop that color into the different areas and just see kind of like little dots while it's still wet. And that's going to be very pretty as well. So it won't have the same texture as the other, but it does have this look of snow. It's definitely spreading, kind of looking like different sized snowflakes, which I think is really pretty. So yeah, that's a nice way to do it too. And I will give you, if you're interested in this recipe, because I've never seen glitter watercolor this pretty or snowy like. I'll give you the exact recipe so that if you want to make it, you can. So there's my little snow there, and let that dry. Go ahead, we'll do the whole part again, and or actually I could hit it with the gun, heat gun. You can also, if you have white ink, using your white ink, you can just go back if you lose areas that you need, or you need to highlight areas. You can just use your white ink or white watercolor. You can see how the glittering, it's how pretty that glitter is really just showing up, really nice. And it doesn't flake off because it already has gum arabic in it, and quite a bit of it, so it bonds to the paper. Okay, so I got that, and then I can just, now it's time to do shadows while you still have your color, your shadow color. Always adding a little purple to it just to change it up from the background. And then just create your shadows wherever you want, under the hat, under the pom-pom, maybe in the pom-pom, just little areas where you would see the shadow. I'm gonna just, this time I'm not gonna do the buttons just yet. I might decide to make the buttons a different color. I'm gonna do a little shadow right here under the body, like that, and maybe under here, just to give it kind of a dimension, and then put some underneath. Really go quickly and loose on this, and not, don't labor over that. I'm going to put a little shadow underneath the scarf as well. And where else could I do it? Oh, under the little arm. And then maybe up here just a little bit, just to add some dimension. So that's that on that. Now I could choose to make a striped. I could make a different color. I like the red though. I think it's fun. Good. Have fun with decorating your snowman any way you want, and it doesn't even have to be. It could have a different outfit, like a girl's outfit or a bathing suit or a tutu. Anything that you want. Make your decorate your snowman whatever way you like. I think it'd be fun to put like a little tank top or something over it. But this one I already had the scarf built in, but. I think the red is striking, but I could go for a different color. I'm not sure. I'm just going to let it dry. Now this area, I could go for brown buttons instead. I'm going to try brown just for fun. Little brown buttons on the little guy on this part here. Let that dry. And then just the carrot, of course, we always want the carrot to be orange, unless we have a different kind of nose. But so that is, I'll wait for that to dry, and I'll even like that. I kind of like it just like that, and maybe just do a very different, just keeping it like simple like that. And then you can sign it, and then send it. Now you've got like I've got 3 cards. They're not exactly alike, but they're very similar. And then you notice that when you do stuff like this, you'll see, and it's like an experimentation with this is the just salt and a combination of the glitter paint. This is salt by itself, and that's just the glitter without the salt. So I think I want to add some of the glitter to this because it's sort of asking for that. And I have the salt is on there, and you can leave it on just to kind of add texture to your card. But I try to take it off because it just ends up getting everywhere anyway. So this one, I'll add a little bit of this kind of just dots of glitter, or could spatter it, but I'm going to be more controlled here. And add some little snowflakes, and just like in random areas on the card. Like that, and that's it on that one.